Hello and welcome to another episode of ConunDRUM with Dre. This week I talk with Sean McClafferty, my partner in crime in the rhythm section for Six Gun Smoke. We don't often get to sit and have a one-on-one conversation outside of any type of band rehearsal or gigs or anything like that. So it was really fun to just sit, have a one-on-one conversation, and we talk about all kinds of stuff. His early days in metal, lighting himself on fire, that kind of stuff, normal conversational stuff. Anyway, yeah, enjoy the conversation. I had a great time. I love him like a brother. So here's my talk with Sean McClafferty. Hey.
Hey. I have
Oh, there you go. See, I have my drink of choice. Coffee.
I've got a coffee too, but it's almost done and I need cool beverage.
I hear that. Yeah, this is a little different. We've not really had this kind of conversation before. So, as most people might know, you are a member of Six Gun Smoke, as am I. Oh, he's wearing the t-shirt. Nice.
That wasn't even on purpose. It was just on top of the pile of laundry.
There you go. Well, I'm wearing my Vans hoodie, so we're not clashing like we did at band practice a couple of weeks ago. So where are you from originally?
Miramichi.
Miramichi?
The good side.
The good side. So Newcastle?
No. No, not at all.
Douglastown?
No, although I've lived in both.
Right.
I'm from Chatham. I was born on the base.
Okay. So I had to get you to say it out loud. So
1821.
1921?
1821.
I
know, I look young for my age.
But... You do, yeah. So you were born on the base, so that means you come from a military background.
Indeed. Dad was in the Air Force.
Yeah. And how many years did you serve?
A bunch of them.
Just a bunch.
I don't know how many years. I barely know how many years I've been on this earth. That's like right. I don't know. I've got this quilt, and it's got like important dates and things like that on it. It was made by a friend of mine to celebrate my wedding, and it's got my wedding date on it. That's how I know when I got married.
There you go. Okay, cool.
I still have it.
So the military base, you are one of many McClafferty children.
Yes.
How many siblings do you have?
I have 2 brothers and 2 sisters.
And you are the youngest?
I am.
Same. Well, not as many siblings, but yeah, baby of the family.
Yep.
So basically at that point, just got to do whatever the hell we wanted to, I
suppose. Oh yeah. And I was like 10 years behind.
Yeah.
So I was the next youngest at 55. So.
Okay. So at that point, yeah. So growing up, spending most of your time in Chatham, that's where I met you, somewhere on the streets randomly. I can't even pinpoint when or how we met. Because I know we had the same circle of friends.
Yeah.
So we would have crossed paths like a bunch, probably like on the base during those, they had those teen dances. And,
yeah, Teen Town.
Yeah, that's what it was called, Teen Town. Yeah. I could not remember what they were called. I think my first band ever played there.
I've never played at Teen Town.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember. I know it was me and a buddy of mine from school, Richard Boudreau, and Roxanne Stanton. Oh, yeah. She was their vocalist.
Oh yeah.
And Matt Gay was guitar, and I don't remember if Aaron Young or if it was Stephen LaRock. Those were the only 2 bass players that I knew at the time, so it was one of the 2 of them. And I remember Roxanne getting on Matt's shoulders during one of our songs, and the roofs were very low in Teen Town because it was those drop ceilings.
Yeah.
And Matt was a very tall guy.
Yep.
So he was going around playing guitar. She was on his shoulders, and she was trying to not knock all of the drop ceiling off and making a mess, causing us all to get kicked out. So that was this is all kind of coming back as I'm saying it, 'cause it's like I haven't thought of that in like years. But yeah, so Teen Town probably is where we met, I would say.
Most likely, yeah.
Most likely.
Yeah.
So that was probably my first band. Were you playing music at that time?
I started when I was like 13. Jeff Chamberlain and we both decided that we could find girlfriends if we played guitar.
Guitar.
So
Okay.
yeah, we started taking guitar lessons off of Joey Saunders. And that consisted of Jeff learning like La Bamba or something like this, and me learning Dream Warriors by Dokken.
See, I think Dokken would attract more, especially the Nightmare on Elm Street song from.
Well, yeah, that's what.
Yeah.
It was. Yeah, Dream Warriors.
Yeah. Love those movies. You a big horror fan?
I am. I'm not a big movie fan anymore.
No,
I
like
don't watch a lot of movies anymore.
starting from what point? Like, when was the last like era of movies that you remember watching?
Again, with the dates.
Last 10 years, last 20 years, like, Marvel, Lord of the Rings, any of that?
I'll still watch like the Marvel movies and stuff like that. It's not that I don't watch movies. It's just that I'm not one of these. Oh, I'm a huge fan of this genre. It's like my music. Like this is good in that genre, so I'll watch it. This is good in that genre, so I'll listen to it.
Right.
I'm not genre specific. I'd like to think I listen to the best of whatever or watch the best of whatever.
Whatever it is you're doing.
Yeah, exactly.
I get it. So you're a cream of the crop kind of guy.
Rise to the top.
So why are you in our band?
Because
shouldn't you be playing in like a more reputable band? Sorry?
You guys are not fans of the best of whatever's available and therefore allowed me to join.
Nice little twist of the table there.
I actually became a bass player because of the shortage of bassists.
Mm-hmm.
You were mentioning that it was just like Steve and Aaron were like the only bassists around.
Oh, they were our age, yeah.
Yeah, like we got your cousin actually was my first bass player.
Okay, Matthew.
I started out with guitar, and Mike.
Okay.
He was a bass player because Renee Pino had a bass.
Yes, so he did.
Mike could use that bass, and therefore that made him a bassist. That was a requirement. Yeah. We were 13. We didn't know shit about anything.
Okay.
So we also didn't have a drummer and didn't know any drummers because, oh my God, they're going to get mad at me for this. But the only drummer we knew was Mike Millay, and he was in a band. I don't remember what they were actually called because we used to just call them Timmy and the Monarchs. It was Mike Millay, Timmy Millay, and I don't remember even who else, but Timmy and the Monarchs.
Timmy and the Monarchs. That's good because that's a playoff of
Donnie and the Monarchs.
Donnie and the Monarchs, yeah, which were like a 50s kind of party band.
Yeah, and they were actually really good, but I mean, we were kids and we were gonna make fun any way we could make fun, right?
Yeah.
And we didn't know any drummers, so that was like Jeff decided, oh, okay, cool, I'm gonna be a drummer. So Jeff was our drummer, and then Mike was the bass player because he had a bass, and I kept playing guitar.
Yeah. At the time when I started playing drums, there wasn't a whole lot, like, because I was in Newcastle, and which was funny that I was playing with a bunch of people from Chatham because, well, I mean, I went to the French school, so I was kind of like a free agent. Like I didn't have any ties to either rival schools on the river, right? Like MV or JMH. So I could go either way. And so then I didn't know any other drummers other than myself and like members of my family, like my brother and my cousins, but not people that were my age. And then I heard of Mike Millay, and then I heard of Chris or Jason Saunier, Chris's brother. So, and then I remember Aaron and I had started hanging out and playing in a band, and he brought me over to one of Jason's band's band practices. And because Aaron was playing with them at the time and he wanted to show me the project he was working on. And I remember they were just playing a bunch of Black Crowes. And and at the time I was like listening to, you know, Green Day and NoFX, and like not the regular like rock and roll bluesy rock. I was more into like the punk fast. So I remember watching going like, they're really good, but their music sucks. I guess you know, when you're younger, you're kind of more of a snob to a genre than as you get older, right? So but yeah, so then I started hanging around more with Jason and then later Mike, and because Mike and I think we're related somehow, like through marriage.
You're related to everybody on the river.
Probably.
It's just like
it's
directly related to Filipinos, except loosely related to everybody. You're probably related to me.
Yeah, I mean, we have the same hairline.
Yeah, see, genetic.
I trimmed up today, so I'm a little behind. I didn't want to. I trimmed up because I didn't want people to get confused as to who was on the stream.
Yeah, it's been a while for me. I need a trim. It's starting to get that.
Yeah. So that was like your first instance of a band then?
Yeah.
So what music were you guys playing? Just radio stuff?
Yeah, basically whatever hit came out that was easy to learn because we were bad.
As you should be, because that's how it should go, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. But that progressed, and then you know Matt McGloin, he hung out in circles as well.
Mm-hmm.
He and Anthony at the time, Bullock, were getting a band together as well.
Mm-hmm.
And they were having a little bit more trouble finding members because I guess they were a little bit snooty. They wanted to actually recruit people that knew how to play the instruments they had access to.
Right.
But they never really got around to getting their band together. And Jeff and I started getting a little bit more snooty about having people that could play. So we snagged Anthony and Matt and got them into the band because Anthony's a really good guitarist.
Mm-hmm.
And so it became the four of us, and I was playing guitar and Anthony was playing guitar. So we just told Matt that he was going to sing, and that was our first show, was Matt McGloin singing. I don't know if you've ever heard Matt McGloin singing.
No.
Don't
look it up.
Well, you're not going to find video of the show, but if you've heard me sing,
yes,
it's better than Matt.
I'm trying to not like
picture how bad it must be.
Picture how bad that is. Yeah.
Well, we were kids, and Matt actually had some moves and stuff like that. He'd get up on stage, he'd move around, and so that was pretty good. So we played our first show with that lineup. And
where was your first show?
It was at a junior high, Dr. Loge junior high variety show.
Okay. So you played like what, 2 or 3 songs maybe?
Yeah, I think we played like 3 songs.
Okay.
We did an original written by a friend of ours, Victor Rector.
Okay.
I'm not sure if that would have been too early. We didn't do Enter Sandman. That was later on. But we did a couple of songs along those lines. I don't even remember what they were.
So this would have been like what, 88, 89? But again, with the dates, I know. Well, I'm just saying before Enter Sandman, and that was 91. So I'm trying to date where you would be, because you
would have been around there.
Yeah. Because you're a couple years older than I am, so I'm picturing when you would have been in middle school. So it would have been around that.
Yeah, around there, I guess.
Okay.
I'll rely on you for the dates, like dating things and extrapolating dates from the clues that I drop. because
Okay.
I really, yeah, I'll give you the rundown of dates that I know. It's 2021, and I was born in 1975.
Okay, I'm not good at
Montreal
math.
last won the cup in '93.
Yeah.
There, that's it. I did
Okay.
great in history class.
All right. The first show I remember seeing you play was at you know where I'm going with this. Was at Jeff Weeks's field party.
Yes.
Um, at the time, I was playing in a band with Jack because it
Yep.
was when it was Jack, myself, Aaron Young, and Bruce Parks.
Yep.
I don't remember the name of the band because it had like 3 or 4 names. So it was either Play School, Area 51, or something else.
I think it was Area 51 at the time.
Could be. We
Pretty
changed it.
sure.
It was back and forth.
Yeah.
But I remember, I think, yeah, you would have been playing guitar because I think
Yep.
in that band, you had Mark Jenkins playing bass.
Yep. Mark was
Okay.
bass player.
Yeah.
Timmy played guitar and sang. Timmy Malley.
Yeah.
So I guess we were Timmy and the Monarchs 2.0.
2.0, right on.
I was on guitar, and Stephen Newman's our drummer.
Stephen Newman, yes.
Wait, it wasn't Newman. His name went out of my head. Derek Taylor was our drummer.
Derek Taylor. I don't remember Derek Taylor.
He lived in Napan, up by the gas station in Napan.
Mm-hmm.
Big kind of a fella.
Mm-hmm.
Not the sort of fella you would look at and go, I'm gonna mess with that guy.
There's a few of those.
Yeah, he was left in charge of protecting the equipment and stuff. Well, we ran around, and I hit on
stupid. Yeah.
every girl that I saw.
Yeah. But what stood out to me at that show, because at that point we weren't like super hanging out, like we kind of cross paths. But I remember you at that show because, and I'm going to stop there. I'm going to let you finish the rest of the story because I want to know how you came to make the decision and end up doing what you did, because it was pretty awesome and also just fucking crazy. So,
well, to make the decision, I figured I'm not a very good guitarist, and I want people to remember me. And I was actually going to do 2 things. I was going to breathe fire at that show.
oh
like
wow.
the whole Gene Simmons Breathe Fire.
Yeah.
But I only had enough money to choose between beer or vodka. And I wasn't sure that the vodka I was going to get at the liquor store was going to be high enough proof to go and do the whole fire breathing thing.
Yeah. Okay.
So I decided to set myself on fire on stage instead. So I planned it with weeks for safety.
Oh, okay. So there was some safety protocols.
Oh, we were totally safe. So I had my beer with me. That was the first safety protocol, was be drunk enough to not feel any pain.
Okay.
I had a bucket of water there. And in that bucket of water, there was a t-shirt.
Okay.
And between songs, I'm not sure if anybody even noticed, I changed into that soaking wet t-shirt.
Okay. No, I did not notice that.
Yeah, I had put on a soaking wet t-shirt. Then I poured beer over my head so that my hair wouldn't catch on fire. Because I've seen those Michael Jackson videos and stuff.
Yes.
So then I doused myself with lighter fluid, lit myself on fire, and started playing. And everyone was like, "Oh, it's crazy!" And Paul Bingham was a little bit disturbed. He was going for the bucket of water.
Yeah.
As I played an electric guitar plugged into an electric amp into electricity.
Yes.
I'm like, no. So I spit beer at him. And then he took my lighter away so that I couldn't do it again. See, the thing is, I put myself out with the guitar, and I thought it was done. What I didn't see is what Paul Bingham had seen. After I put myself out, the bottom of my pant leg was still lit, and I flared up again unexpectedly.
Yes.
So he saw the fire down at the bottom. He was going for the bucket to douse my lower legs that I didn't see still burning. So I burst back into flames. So then it just looked like part of the show because I just dropped to my knees
Yeah.
and then started smacking my legs with the guitar, and it just looked like it was on purpose. And the whole spit and beer at bingo looked like it was all part of the thing.
It was quite the show.
Oh yeah, it was a fun time, lighting myself on fire in the middle of a hayfield.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Well, luckily the ground was pretty good. I don't think there was any chance of anything catching fire there, but um okay. So did you suffer any like burns at all? Like any scarring, or did it
No,
get through the clothes?
no, didn't even damage my pants.
Okay. Were you
I
wearing leather pants at least?
No, jeans,
Oh my God.
just a pair of jeans with lighter fluid. But I mean, put some lighter fluid on your hand, light it on fire.
Yeah.
There's like little to no heat transfer. So
Breathing fire, lighting yourself on fire. I can't help but draw the parallel to you being a very big Kiss fan, because you're
and
probably the biggest Kiss fan that I know. Um, you have a lot of like old Kiss memorabilia and stuff.
yeah,
What is it about? Because everybody knows that they're kind of douchebags.
yeah. Oh, I don't like them for their attitudes. Trust me.
Right.
they're not
Um,
they're not heroes in that fashion.
yeah.
Um,
Because the running joke at band practice is we're not ready to play until Sean plays God of Thunder on the bass. that's
yeah.
it should be our sound check song, but I don't think any of us have taken the time to really learn it.
I we used to cover it in one of my old bands in Chaos.
Or
We used to
Chaos.
cover God of Thunder. Yeah.
Okay. I can't help but think it didn't sound anything like the Kiss version.
It was not as soft and gentle as the Kiss version.
Right. Okay. Because I was gonna get to the Chaos thing in a bit. I just wanted to ask about what is it about Kiss that, like, musically, obviously, like you said, it's not who they are as people, but what is it about Kiss that kind of drew you into that?
I'm not really sure. I think it was like I've always, as a musician, I prefer the stage to the studio, as you
Absolutely.
well know.
Yeah.
And their strength was always the stage,
Yeah.
putting on a show, and like the live energy.
Mm-hmm.
Like they never even really took off with their studio recordings. It was their live presence that really made Kiss take off as a big act.
Yeah.
And I guess I kind of connected with that.
Mm-hmm.
I said I started playing guitar because guys in bands got girls, but it was about getting up in front of people and playing in front of people.
Yeah.
That got me playing, and the whole energy that Kiss presents is that live presence. It's just amazing and stunning. And
even to this day, they still put on a show at like
oh yeah,
almost 70 years old. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and half of them are like a cover band. So
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's half of Kiss.
yeah,
They're playing the characters, but see,
yeah,
the thing, here's the thing, like, you look at those two guys that are in Kiss now with them, and if you look at the timeline, technically they've been members of the band longer than the original.
yeah. That's cool, but
They're not the original.
I mean, it is what it is.
And I guess you can also look at it as the material that they're playing is from that original lineup. Like, there isn't a lot of new material with those new guys in the band.
See, I don't have a problem with replacements. My only problem with those guys is they're wearing Peter and Ace's makeup.
Yeah.
Like Eric is a long enough established drummer to be, he's a member of Kiss. He's been 100% full-fledged member of Kiss since the minute he joined. I thought he was a fantastic drummer. I still think he's a fantastic drummer, and I still think he's a member of Kiss, but he's not
the Catman.
Peter Criss. Yeah, he's not Catman.
Yeah.
Tommy Thayer, what, Space Tommy? He's not Space Ace.
No. Yeah, right?
Get your own damn makeup.
Yeah, I never understood why they didn't do that. Even if they started out as like the Spaceman and the Catman or whatever you want to call them.
Yeah.
You would think that at some point they would have transitioned into their own characters.
Yeah.
Where
like Eric Carr did it.
Exactly.
And
Vinnie Vincent. Yeah. It. Right. But I guess they saw those two characters as failures because they transitioned to Out of Makeup not long after that, right?
Eric Carr was not a failure no matter what,
No,
ever.
I'm not talking about him as a drummer or member of the band. I'm talking
Just
the character that he had.
yeah.
They saw the characters that they portrayed as failures.
I don't know. I
because people wanted to see the
failure because they never had their own character.
Yeah.
Like it was just the time. It was the time to transition out of makeup and make the change into the whole glam metal movement
with an animal print.
The animal print and the leather pants and the fishnet and Jean looking like a very large and strange woman. Like
that was not their best era.
No, it was not. And Eric Carr, his face was too small for all that hair that he had.
Yeah, oh yeah, that was a lot of hair.
Looked funny. He looked like a mouse with like a lion cut or something.
But they were a tight band. I mean, they at that point, I mean, as far as Peter Criss goes, original member, he's a pretty good drummer, but he's not a great drummer.
Yeah, he's no Eric Carr, he's no Eric Singer.
Exactly. Like those guys really brought them up to another level musically and on stage too, because when you've got those guys behind you, you can go out with that swagger that Paul and Gene have.
And Eric Carr managed to have a stage presence as a drummer. And you know very well, that's very difficult to do. You're stuck in behind a kit. You can barely be seen.
Especially behind his kit.
Yeah. Like to
massive.
Be noticed as a drummer, if you're not Tommy Lee, that's kind of a hard thing to do.
Yeah. Yeah. I find, drummers now, a lot of them are like the Instagram drummers and stuff. They go a little above and beyond to be noticed. Like, you know, the Travis Barkers and, you know, those guys, which is great because, I mean, drummers deserve their due. I mean, back in the 40s and 50s, the drummers were the leaders of the band, right?
Yeah.
So I guess it's just a different time, but I'm totally fine being behind the kit and no one seeing me so that after the show I can leave and nobody says a word.
I'm perfectly fine with letting Jack stand up front and wail the signature Six Gun Smoke sound and be in the back line for that. I have a good time listening to him play.
Yeah, you and I have a good thing going between us. Like I think we connect pretty well as a rhythm section. I don't have any worry. Like when we're playing, I focus on what I'm doing, like my parts, and trying not to fuck up because that's a job in itself. Especially playing at whatever tempo Jack is playing at, or when the songs that he writes are a little faster than me as an older guy is having a hard time keeping up with. But with that said, I know you and I are pretty locked in. I don't have to worry about what you're going to do next. So we can just kind of take the visual cues or the cues from Jack when he's doing his solos or, you know, wants to jam out longer on a song. I think you and I follow that pretty well, just without even looking at each other.
That's something that I've noticed is you develop chemistry with a band.
Yeah.
Because I mean, like I think I'm clearly established what I think of myself as a player.
Yeah.
But when you start developing chemistry with a group, it's you start taking cues off the others without even realizing that you're taking cues. It's just natural. Oh, like he's gonna stop playing the solo at about this point.
Yep.
Just because that's how he plays.
Yeah.
This is the kind of sound that he makes when he's about to be done this sort of thing.
Yeah, yeah. Like we know the type of bend he plays when he's in the middle of the solo versus the type of bend he plays when he's coming out of the solo.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Even just like to glance up and look at his face, you know what he's about to do next at that point. So
yeah, exactly. So I think I like the chemistry we have. I think we're a pretty good band. I think we're getting better.
Yeah.
The first album, those songs we wrote with you. I know you didn't play on the album because that was when you were having some health issues and had to step away. So James stepped in, your nephew, and recorded the album. But now we're in the midst of writing new material. So where you kind of wrote your parts for the first songs, James put his spin on them, but I mean the base of what was there was what you'd put on there.
listening to what he played on several of the songs,
Mm-hmm.
I was actually surprised when I really listened very closely to get the bass lines. I was surprised that there were some of the parts that he was. I know he didn't look for my bass lines or anything like that, but what he was playing was extremely similar.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, James and I have been in a couple of bands before, and we draw a lot of the same influences. So I
Yeah.
think chemistry there
Yeah.
started to show. The chemistry that James and I have had as musicians being in bands together started to show, and some of our similar influences started to show. Because parts that I thought were very unique to my bass playing, to hear James playing a very similar part, at first it surprised me until it clicked in. Like, well, yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah. Which is why when he stepped in to take your spot, at the time that he stepped in, he was a full-time member. Like, you were done.
Yeah, yeah,
You said, okay, I'm done. I can't do this. I can't commit. So move on. Good
yeah.
luck. And then James filled in and became a full-time member until he
Mhm.
had to step away, for his own commitments. To which then I think it was like the next day you were dropping off some of our merch to my place.
It was the same
He was
day.
like, what's that?
It was the same day.
It was the same day. He was like,
Yeah, James
oh,
messaged me the night before. He
yeah,
hadn't yet talked to you and Jack, but he
yeah,
said you're going to play bass for Six Gun Smoke, and I'm like, oh, do you
oh,
need me for a show?
yeah, yeah, yeah. And then
Like
you showed
I
up. You're like,
remember most of the stuff.
you showed up with the box of T-shirts, and
Yeah.
I was like, hey, have you talked to James? You're like, yeah. You need a bass player? Yeah, sure. Welcome
I think
back.
at that point it was nobody really knew how much anybody else knew.
Yeah,
So
right.
nobody was like fully committal about James is out of the band, Sean wants to join the band,
Yeah,
we're gonna get a new bass player. Nobody really was
yeah, yeah,
100% sure what was going on. So
yeah. So you mentioned you played in bands previously with James, which is kind of how you developed that same kind of vibe and carry that chemistry over into what we're doing. So you were in a couple of metal bands that back in the mid 90s, early 2000s that were kind of influential and pretty important to the metal scene in New Brunswick.
I like,
Chaos and Slaughter of Saints.
yeah,
So it was Chaos that came first, right?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I joined as a replacement for Mark Jenkins
Okay, so Mark was
because
playing
he was
bass.
the original bass player for Chaos, because the Mirror Machine music scene is so incestuous that I've played in 3 bands with Mark and replaced Mark in bands, and Mark has replaced me in bands. Like, I'm surprised that you and I haven't been in 9 different bands together.
Well, I think that's probably because after the band I was in back then went away to college, which we we
Yeah,
ran into each other there as
yeah,
well.
yeah.
And then after college, I moved away to St. John for a number of years.
This is true. Yeah,
And then when I came back is when I reconnected with Jack. He and I started what was then called the DiBiase's, a 2-piece. And then we had some heckler in the crowd that was like, you guys suck. You need a bass player. And that ended up being you. So
yeah. If only that heckler didn't also share an office with you at work and antagonize you daily at work as well.
yeah. Yeah. Okay, we're getting off track. So
Yeah,
Chaos. Um,
yeah,
so you replaced Mark Jenkins on bass for Chaos.
yes.
And you guys were playing shows all around the province, right?
We were playing shows, yeah, all around New Brunswick and into Nova Scotia. Mostly Fredericton and St. John were our biggest areas because they had kind of the established metal scene.
Right.
St. John,
Which is still true to this day, I think. As far as cities in New Brunswick that carry metal, it would be those two.
Moncton has improved greatly since those days.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that to me was the beginning of like a heyday in metal in Moncton, because very shortly after we started, playing as Chaos, metal shows in Moncton started really exploding. And then it became like Fredericton, Moncton, Halifax that we were playing once it transitioned into, once Chaos dissolved and became Slaughter of Saints.
Okay. So Chaos was sort of the birth into Slaughter of Saints. It was an evolution from that project to another.
Yeah,
Was there a reason for the
weird.
name change?
There was kind of an overlap. The two bands kind of overlapped a little bit. It wasn't quite so cut and dry as Chaos stopped, Slaughter of Saints started. Chaos had the original members, and Mark Jenkins and Mark Gallant left the band.
Okay.
Leaving Rob Adams and Gord Wright. Brad Wells joined to replace Mark Gallant on guitar.
Okay.
And I joined replacing Mark Jenkins on bass.
Yeah.
After a while, Brad left. He had ended up moving to Toronto, and practice was a little bit confusing with one member in Fredericton, two in Miramichi, and one in Toronto. So James, that's the first band that I was in with James. He was like 16 years old.
Yeah.
He was very into metal at the time and very much an up and coming guitarist. We brought him into the band, and we immediately started to evolve. As soon as he joined the band, he brought a new level of heaviness to the band.
As he does, yeah.
He can tend to do that.
Yeah.
You can clearly see his roots and what he grew up listening to.
Absolutely, yeah.
But there was some personal strife between Rob and I, and it resulted in an ultimatum being placed of Rob quitting the band or being kicked out of it.
So either way, he's out.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he quit. We went, all right, we're getting heavier. Rob was the main proponent of keeping certain songs, certain styles in the set list. Gord always had a heavier taste in metal than Rob did.
Right.
Almost everybody I've ever met did. So he was very welcome to getting heavier. I've always been the guy, okay, let's do it. Whatever.
Yeah, that's true. That's true to this day. Yeah.
And I'm down for anything. I just want to play and have fun.
Yeah, same here. Yeah.
James and Gord were like, all right, well, we're playing heavier. I'm like, cool, I'll try and keep up. And that's when we transitioned into Slaughter of Saints, because we felt we were changing enough. We weren't going to be playing any of the old original Chaos songs anymore. We didn't feel those were ours to play.
Right. Because those are songs that Rob would have written, right?
Rob, Mark, and Gord wrote all the Chaos.
So the only member left at that point from those three was Gord.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did have one song that was kind of a transition thing. It was going to be the first song of the second Chaos album, and it was written mainly by Rob and Brad Wells, who neither one of them were in the band.
Right.
Till later on when Brad Wells joined Slaughter of Saints, and then there's that whole incest of Miramichi bands again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you guys put out an album?
Saints. The albums came before me and after me.
So you're not on either of them?
I'm not on either of them. I wrecked my car in 2002 coming back from a show in Halifax.
Yes.
That was the last show that I played with Slaughter of Saints.
Tell me about that wreck. How did the wreck happen?
Black Ice in Kujipquack.
Okay.
Playing at a show called The Blackness Before Christmas. The poster was Jesus nailing Santa to a cross.
Okay.
And saying, "Thou shalt not fucketh with my birthday." Oddly enough, I flipped the car. The guitars went out the window. The car landed in a church parking lot in Kujipquack.
Man.
Yeah, whatever. I don't.
Were you the only one in the car? Who else was with you?
My ex-wife was with me. She got a bruise on her leg.
Okay.
I tore my ear. I got a concussion. Took a chunk out of the side of my head. I don't know. There was a bunch of hair missing and blood there. but the roof came in on my head,
Okay.
and then I was running around all concussed and asking stupid questions and checking to see if my bass went out of tune because it flew out the window.
Right. It's
It was
important.
just in a cardboard box that it ships in. They were making fun of me that night because the box was so beat up and floppy. I had to hold it shut. It was basically nothing more than a dust cover at that point. They were making fun of me. They're like, "Oh, you're gonna have to get a case for that someday, or that's gonna get messed up." It went out the window. It stayed in that cardboard box. That cardboard box stayed closed. The bass never even got knocked out of tune.
And it was a Warlock bass?
BC Rich Warlock bass. It's sitting in the
You
closet.
still
with
have
the
it.
same
Yeah, I was going to
strings.
say.
I still have the same strings on it as I played on that show.
But is it in tune?
Probably.
That's awesome. That's crazy.
Okay, 1 second. I just got to show you something.
All right.
All right. I'm back.
Okay, that's the bass.
That's the bass. And I'm mistaken. It's not in tune because it's been stored for a long time.
Right.
So I loosened the strings to reduce tension on the neck, prevent it from warping.
Right.
But you can see she's got a pretty good layer of dust on it.
So why don't you use the Warlock in Six Gun Smoke?
I don't feel it's appropriate. But and also I need the strap button here. I got to get one of those. I don't know where that went, but yeah, it's my BC Rich Warlock, which I played in Chaos and Slaughter of Saints.
Yeah, I've seen pictures. I would say it would be the Slaughter of Saints lineup because it's you and James screaming into microphones.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's our entire last show is actually posted online. I'm not sure if you heard about the Maritime Metal documentary.
Yes.
That was being made.
Yep.
Okay. Well, somebody, not entirely sure who, but because I think a couple of different people filmed that show.
Right.
Somebody provided our entire set to the fellow that's making the Maritime Metal documentary, so he uploaded it to his YouTube channel.
So the Slaughter of Saints, for vocals, it was James. Who was singing? Who sang in Slaughter? It was I know Gord sang.
Yeah, it was all three of us. Yeah, back when I could actually do metal vocals without coughing and choking.
So at that point, it was a 3-piece lineup. It was you, James, and Gord, and that was the final lineup.
No. Actually, the first show that we played as Slaughter of Saints, we had Matt Morris from Black Cross, which is James' cousin through his father's side of the family. He came in and played. It was a battle of the bands, which we actually ended up doing pretty well. We had played it a couple of times as Chaos and never placed, but then when we played with that lineup, I think we got second place.
And that was a provincial battle, was it?
I don't even know. I know it was all kinds of bands, and it was at the Chestnut.
Yeah.
It was like, it was at the Chestnut. That was like the home of Chaos and Slaughter of Saints. I think I've played more times at the Chestnut than anywhere else in my life.
Yeah. Is the Chestnut even a thing still?
No. The door that we used to go into is all bricked off now. It's not.
Oh, really?
The door there anymore. Anyway, that was a lineup for the first show. Matt was just on loan from the Black Frost. So then it became 3-piece for a while. Then I left the band due to health issues because it's what I do apparently.
Yeah. Well, so was that your hip?
That was my guts when I got diagnosed with Crohn's. I didn't know. We had a lot of shows scheduled. Like we were supposed to be playing in like PEI and playing in Quebec and Nova Scotia and all over the place over the course of the summer. And I was just in terrible shape. I didn't know from day to day if I was going to be able to get up on stage or not.
Okay.
So I'm like, all right, boys, I'm leaving the band so that you have time to get another bass player and break them in. Terry Morrison actually ended up being my replacement in the long run.
Okay.
And Brad Wells moved back to Miramichi and rejoined, and they recorded demo at that time.
Okay. So that would be the recording that you alluded to that was
Yeah.
after you. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So is there any talks?
2003.
Okay. Is there any talks at all, like between, because you guys are all still pals, like, is there any
Yeah.
talks at all of bringing that back, like even for just a short run?
Yes, but we also realize we're all very old, and that's very hard music to play. And probably the only one that I think would be able to pull it off is James. I don't think Gordon and I could keep up with that sort of tempo at this time in our lives.
Okay.
I might be able to maybe if I played as often as I did back then, but back then I was playing like 4 hours a day, just training my right hand to be able to pick that fast and keep up with James and Gord. So
I was just curious because like that Maritime Metal documentary and metal being what it is now, like there's a lot of metal bands, very reputable metal bands that play. Like I know Discord,
yeah,
because I know Louis Sipley. I went to school with him, and he's now in the band, or he was in the band and then he wasn't. Now he's in the band again. Um, but I think like there's a lot of those bands that kind of came after you guys that kind of, I don't want to say you guys paved the way for metal because you didn't, but like in the province, as far as bands, you guys were kind of ahead of those other bands.
yeah.
And so I think it would just be really cool to see, you guys come back for a show and, kind of tear the roof off and, show the kids how to do it.
It'd also be really cool to see Marion Lemieux come back and play hockey, but how much of a fool is he going to make of himself when he does so?
Yeah, fair point. It'd be interesting to see like Mario and Wayne Gretzky on the ice playing with the kids now.
I'd play against them.
I know we have a couple of fires that we're kind of stoking with
Yep.
some ideas that we're going to keep pretty quiet until they actually manifest themselves. But what do you see as far as next steps for the band?
Next steps for the band.
Yeah.
Working towards getting an album that I actually play the entire album without anybody else playing any of my bass lines or even all of my bass lines.
Okay.
Because I have never played bass for an entire album, not even an EP. The closest thing was a single recorded in the Chaos days.
Yeah.
In the transition of Chaos to Slaughter.
Yeah. Is there a reason why you never recorded them? Like,
I fucking hate the studio.
okay. Why is that? Like, why is it? I know like that whole red light syndrome is a thing, but I mean, you write the parts, the parts. Like, I don't.
Do you remember doing Eastern Winds?
Yeah.
When we recorded it for the demo for the EP, Best Spikes New, and I would play the part every time. It was fine. It was perfect. The timing was right on. And then we'd start to record, and I would play it wrong, and then stop recording, and I'd play it right until finally I said, "Okay, Jack, I'm going to show you the part." And I showed Jack the part. And I said, "You play it. I'm going for smoke."
Well, let me know when you're done.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess we just need to like not let you know when it's recording.
That's going to be even worse because then I'm just going to do foolish shit and I'm going to play Iron Maiden songs. So.
Fair enough. Yeah, that's another thing I wanted to ask you about as far as like your stylings as a bass player. When you were listening to music growing up, like as you were saying, like you listen to the best of whatever genre, right? Like you're attracted to whatever's on the top of whatever list.
Yeah.
To get inspiration from. What players coming up like did you really listen to and kind of try to not mimic but kind of grasp from their styles?
I'd say the single biggest influence was Steve Harris. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying I play like them or even come close to putting myself anywhere in the same in the same realm. But I feel like I can identify with the way he plays and has like zero knowledge of musical theory. Like before I joined the DiBiase's with you and Jack, if somebody would have said play a blues scale and it's EAB, I would have gone, and I did. I didn't know what the fuck that was. No,
Okay.
like I don't know what to do there. And Steve Harris, he's getting interviewed, and they're asking him about all these techniques, and he's like, "What?
I don't know.
I don't know. I
Sounds good.
because it sounds good."
Yeah.
And I identified with that. I
Okay.
can really identify with I play it because it sounds good. I've got other people, friends of mine that play bass that tell me what thing it is I'm doing, and I don't know that it's that thing I'm doing. I don't know. I played it and it sounded good.
I think that's what makes us as a band kind of on that same level, because I'm the same way. Like I know like my basic rudiments, and like, quarter notes and eighth notes and all that stuff and triplets, like the theory behind them. But when it comes to actually playing the music, I'm not thinking, okay, I'm going to throw a triplet in here, or I'm going to, you know, do this kind of a fill, doing like doubles into a paradiddle, or, that kind of stuff. Because I know there's players that do that and they do it really
Yeah,
well. I've never been that guy. Whatever it is that I play, if I listen back to it, I still can't identify what I'm doing
yeah,
except for when I'm doing it. You know what I mean? Like I know like when I'm coming to the end of a certain, I can't remember what song it is, but I'll do a double instead of a single at the very end of it.
yeah.
I do it every time. My brain is telling me to do it, but I can't identify that I'm doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but for somebody to say, "Can you sit down and map out what you've done in this song?"
Yeah.
No.
No.
Here's my
Right.
set list where I put the first note of every song so that I remember what the first note is, and then I'll catch on from there.
Yeah.
Like, uh,
Um, but as far as like your style, I do see a bit of a parallel um, with that, because you you do alternate between using a pick and using your fingers.
yeah,
You do a lot of triplets and a lot of start stops,
yeah,
um, and you throw a lot of slides, like when you're going up or down the neck. I find they're at kind of odd places, but they fit. Because like I know like when we rehearse and stuff, I record all of that to video,
yeah,
just to get a visual and to know what it is that we're doing, and for our own records to be able to listen back, and if we did something cool, then it's not gone and forgotten.
yeah,
So I'll be watching it and I'll see like how you're sliding up and down the neck before going into a part, and I don't necessarily hear it, but if it's not there, I notice it's not there. You know what I mean?
that's
Um,
something that I've always strived for in my bass playing.
striven. You're a very striven individual.
I'm not playing to get noticed. I'm playing to not be ignored.
Mm,
Um, when going back to that BC Ridge Warlock, when I first got it, the first time I played it on stage, I was playing through this big friggin' PV gigantic bass tube amp, and it filled the room. Like you felt it in the bathroom of the club when I was playing that, because we were also tuned down. It was super heavy, like your balls would shake when I hit a note. And there was one song, I don't remember what, but there was a dead spot where Gord and I just stopped dead, and James played part, and then Gord cut in, and then I cut in. And after the show, Dale Lyons said, you know, I never really noticed what it was that I was feeling or hearing until that one part in the song, and you stopped playing and the room felt empty. And then when you played again, it just filled the entire room. And
nice.
that's, I like to be I like to try and be the guy that you don't know he's there until he's not there.
Brilliant. Beautiful. I think that's a good spot to end this.
You'll ever hear about me from the point of view.
I think that's a good spot to end this. Perfect.
Cheers, motherfucker.
Cheers, motherfucker. That was my chat with Sean. I'll have all the Six Gun Smoke links and stuff in the description. It's really great having him back in the band. He is a breath of fresh air. He always keeps things interesting. Love you, brother, and love you all, and keep each other safe. And can't wait to see you guys out at a gig sometime in hopefully the near future. All right. Till next time.